Dylan sat on his small, worn couch and looked at the silent TV screen. The power had blinked again. It did this a lot in his town, but tonight it felt different. The room was dim, lit only by a cheap lamp in the corner and the soft orange glow from the streetlight outside his window. He worked all day at a repair shop on the edge of town. He fixed old radios, broken washing machines, cracked phones, and any other thing people brought in. Most days were the same. Customers came, complained, laughed a little, and left. Dylan smiled when he had to, spoke when he needed to, and spent the rest of his time inside his own head. People in town thought he was strange but harmless. He did not go out much. He did not date. He did not talk about his family. He walked home, cooked simple food, and read old science fiction books until his eyes hurt. Sometimes, late at night, he went outside and stared at the stars for a long time. In his mind, the stars were not just dots of light. They were doors. They were memories. Years ago, when he was 15, something had happened. Everyone told him it was just a dream. They said he was confused, that it was the stress of being a teenager, or maybe some strange sleep problem. The local news had a short report about strange lights in the sky that summer, but the story disappeared quickly. People stopped talking about it. The video was removed from the town website. It was like the event never happened. But Dylan remembered. He remembered standing in a field, the crickets singing in the dark. He remembered a light that fell from the sky but did not burn, a soft white glow that wrapped around him like a warm mist. He remembered being lifted from the ground without any hands touching him. He remembered her. She was tall, with smooth, silver-blue skin that seemed to glow from the inside. Her hair was dark and flowing, like a shadow that moved in water. Her eyes were large and bright, full of colors he did not have words for. She wore strange, flowing clothes that looked like they were alive, slowly shifting and changing pattern. She told him her name was Lyria. She spoke in his language, but her voice sounded like music. She had been gentle and calm. She told him he was safe. She touched his forehead with a glowing hand, and he saw images of places that could not be real. Great cities floating in the sky, oceans of light, stars wrapped in golden rings. He spent what felt like days on her ship, walking through softly lit halls and looking out at a sea of stars. He sat with Lyria and talked about Earth. He told her about school, about his struggles, about how he felt invisible. She listened like every word was important. She showed him how her people could link minds, how they shared thoughts and feelings in a bright network of light. Then he woke up in his own bed. His parents said he had been there all night. They said he must have had a strange dream, but his shoes were still dusty with field dirt. There was a small silver mark on his wrist that did not wash off for months. After that, Dylan tried to talk about it. His friends laughed. A teacher asked if he needed help. A doctor suggested stress or lack of sleep. Finally, he learned to keep quiet. The lights in the sky were forgotten by the town. Only he remembered the girl with the luminous eyes. Years passed. His parents moved away. He stayed. He finished school, got his job at the repair shop, and built a quiet life made of routine and silence. But at night, he still looked up at the stars and wondered if Lyria had ever been real. The power flickered again. The lamp blinked off, then on. Dylan frowned and rolled off the couch. He walked to the window and pulled the curtain aside. The street outside looked normal. 2 cars parked on the curb. A dog lying on a porch across the road. A neighbor stepping outside to lock his gate. Dylan glanced up. The sky was clear, full of stars. But as he looked, he noticed something strange. There was a faint glow above the town, not like the usual pale halo from city lights in the distance. This glow pulsed slowly, as if something large and unseen hovered over the clouds. A low hum filled the air. At first he thought it was an airplane or maybe a truck far away, but the sound was steady and deep. It seemed to come from everywhere at once, like the whole sky was humming. The TV turned on by itself behind him just for a second, then shut off with a soft click. His phone on the table lit up, the screen flashing white, then going dark. The lamp's light went thin and sickly for a moment. Weird, Dylan whispered to himself. He let the curtain fall and walked back to the coffee table. His phone would not turn on. He held down the power button, but nothing happened. He stared at the blank screen, feeling a slow, rising unease. Outside, the neighbor's dog began to bark, loud and sharp, over and over. Another dog joined in from farther down the street. Then another. It was like a chain reaction of alarm. The hum grew a little louder. Dylan went to the front door and listened. There was no wind, no rain, just the strange sound in the air and the dogs barking like they had lost their minds. He thought he heard something else, too, a faint whisper, almost like distant voices layered over one another. For a long second, he thought about the past, about the field, about the night that everyone told him was a dream. His heart beat faster, and he told himself he was being childish and silly. The world was normal now. He was an adult. Life did not suddenly turn into a science fiction story. He put his hand on the door but did not open it. He took a breath, then stepped back. Maybe it was just some power issue in the area. Maybe a transformer had blown somewhere. He should just sit down and wait for things to clear. He turned toward the couch. There was a knock at the door. It was soft but firm. Not a random pounding, not the wild hitting of someone in a panic. 3 clear knocks, evenly spaced. They echoed in the quiet house. Dylan froze. No one visited him at night. He did not order food. His co-workers never dropped by. The neighbors kept to themselves. For a second, he thought it might be a police officer or someone from the electric company. Maybe they were checking on houses because of the power problems. The knock came again. 3 more soft, steady taps. He swallowed and forced his legs to move. He walked slowly to the door. As he moved closer, he felt a strange warmth build under his skin, like the air around him had changed. The low hum from outside seemed to match his heartbeat. He put his hand on the doorknob. It felt oddly warm. "Who is it?" he asked, his voice more shaky than he wanted. There was a pause. Then a voice came through the wood, calm and clear, with a soft musical tone that made his chest ache. "It is me, Dylan," the voice said. "May I come in?" He knew that voice. He knew it from years ago, from a night that no one believed, from a dream that he kept locked in his heart. He knew it from the way it wrapped around his name, gentle and careful, like it was woven with light. His fingers trembled on the knob. He wanted to run. He wanted to laugh. He wanted to cry. Instead, he slowly turned the knob and pulled the door open. A woman stood on his porch. She was tall, taller than him, with smooth, silver-blue skin that glowed softly in the dim streetlight. Her eyes were large and shining, colors shifting inside them like slow-moving nebulae. Her hair fell down her back in dark waves that seemed to swallow light. On her forehead rested a crown-like band of living metal, shifting and flowing with tiny lines of light. She wore a long, dark cloak that moved as if the air around her was full of gentle currents. Beneath it, he saw hints of armor or clothing that was not made by any human hand. Strange lines of glowing patterns traced along her arms and neck like constellations. She was older than he remembered, not in a human way, but in the weight she carried. There was calm power in her posture, and a quiet sadness in her eyes. Yet when she looked at him, that sadness melted into something warm and bright. "Hello, Dylan," she said softly. His mouth went dry. His heart pounded so hard he could feel it in his throat. "Lyria," he whispered. The name came out before he could stop it. It felt right. It felt like closing a circle that had been open for years. She smiled. It was a small, gentle smile, but it made the porch feel like the center of the universe. I missed you so much, human, she said, her voice full of feeling. Let us go back. The words hung in the air between them. They seemed simple, but they carried years of distance, memory, and longing. They carried the weight of stars. Dylan stepped back without thinking, and she stepped forward into his house. She did not push him. She moved with grace as if she had done this many times in her mind, but never for real. The air around her smelled faintly of something light and clean, like ozone and flowers that did not exist on Earth. As soon as she crossed the threshold, the hum outside grew softer, as if the house itself protected them. The dogs down the street still barked, but they sounded far away now. Lyria looked around his small living room. She studied the old couch, the cluttered coffee table, the stack of repair manuals on the floor. Her eyes lingered on a shelf of science fiction books. She reached out and brushed a finger near one of the covers without touching it. "You still love stories," she said quietly. "I hoped you would." Dylan shut the door slowly. His mind screamed that this was impossible, but his body remembered the warmth of her ship, the glow of alien halls, the way her thoughts had once touched his. He leaned against the door for support. "You are real," he said. "You are actually here." She turned to face him. Up close, he saw very fine lines on her skin, like tiny glowing cracks of light, marks of time and stress, but her eyes were the same as he remembered. Gentle, curious, full of stars. "I have always been real," she answered. "You were the one who thought it was only a dream." He almost laughed, but it came out as a choked sound. "No one believed me. They said I imagined you." "I know," Lyria said. Her gaze grew sad. "We made them forget. It was for safety, for you, for us. I am sorry." He stared at her. The thought that someone had changed minds, erased records, and twisted memory to protect him and hide her made his skin prickle. Yet, when he looked into her eyes, he did not feel anger, only a weary understanding. She was from a world where such things were possible. "Why now?" he asked. "Why come back after all these years?" She studied him for a long moment. Her eyes softened, and he felt something like a gentle pressure in the back of his mind, a touch that was not physical. The bond they once shared woke up like a sleeping animal opening its eyes. "Because I searched for you," Lyria said. "Because I became more than I was. Because the stars are in danger. And because—" She paused, and for a second her royal calm slipped. "Because I missed you." Dylan's breath caught. He felt warmth spread from his chest through his arms. Images flickered at the edge of his thoughts. A throne made of light, fleets of shining ships, a dark cloud eating stars, and always, always, a sense of her, standing alone among her people, looking out at the sky and thinking of a small blue planet and a quiet human boy she once met. "You are different," he said quietly. "I am," she replied. "I am queen now. Of my people, of a great many worlds. But even a queen can be lonely. Even a queen can remember a human who changed her forever." The room felt too small for their words. The air hummed with quiet power. Somewhere outside, high above the clouds, a shadow moved slowly through the night. Dylan did not see it, but he felt it, like a distant heartbeat echoing down from the sky. He looked at her and understood that his life had already changed. The repair shop, the quiet evenings, the safe routine, all of it now stood on the edge of something huge and unknown. Lyria took a small step closer. Her voice softened. "There is much to tell you," she said, "about why I am here, about what is coming, about what you mean to us. But first, I wanted to see you again with my own eyes. In your own home." She looked around the simple living room once more, as if memorizing it. "This is where you live now," she said. "It is small, but it feels warm." He let out a shaky breath. "It is not much." "It is yours," she replied. That makes it important. Their eyes met. The bond between them, once a faint memory, now pulsed with new strength. Dylan felt pieces of her emotions reach him: relief, fear, hope, a deep, quiet joy that she tried to hide. Outside, the night went on. The stars watched. The hum in the sky slowly shifted like a great engine changing direction. Inside the small house, a human and an alien queen stood a few steps apart, looking at each other like two people who had waited far too long. And somewhere, just out of sight, the future waited too. Dylan could hardly sit still. Lyria was in his living room, sitting on his old couch as if she belonged there. Her eyes scanned the simple furniture, the stacks of books, the chipped coffee table, and she smiled softly. A small gesture that made him feel years of loneliness melt away. "You have kept your home much the same," she said. "It is simple, human, yet it has warmth." Dylan swallowed. I guess I like simple things." Lyria nodded. She leaned forward slightly, her hands glowing faintly with a soft blue light. "That is why I remember you. Even then you were different. Most humans, most beings, they see only themselves. But you notice the stars, the small things, the quiet beauty in life. You cared. That is rare." Dylan's cheeks flushed. "I don't know what to say." "Then say nothing," she replied. "Just listen. I will explain why I am here, and why it matters that you came with me." He nodded slowly. He had always wanted answers. After all these years, the memories of that night had never faded. Now she was here, real, standing before him. Somehow, it all felt possible. Lyria took a deep breath. "I am queen of the Violari now. My people are many and powerful. Our technology is far beyond anything humans imagine. But even with all that power, we face a threat greater than anything we have seen." Dylan frowned. "What kind of threat?" "Machines," she said, her eyes darkening slightly. "A swarm that consumes everything: stars, planets, even knowledge. They do not rest. They do not stop. We call them the null tide. We have fought for centuries, but they adapt faster than we can plan. Logic alone cannot defeat them. We need something else." Dylan blinked. "Something else?" "Yes, something human." He laughed nervously, but there was no humor in it. "Me?" he asked, pointing to himself. "I'm just a guy from a small town. I fix radios and phones." Lyria smiled, soft and patient. "That is why you are needed. When I first met you, you formed a bond with me. It was not something my people expected, not something we even believed possible. Your mind? It is different. It is chaotic, emotional, unpredictable. And that is exactly what the Violari need to fight the null tide. You think differently than we do. You see what we cannot." Dylan felt a shiver run down his spine. "So, you need me to help your empire?" "I need you to help the galaxy," she said. "And yes, your life may change forever. I understand that, but I also promise that Earth will be protected. Humans are not experiments. You are not a weapon. You are a partner." He wanted to ask so many questions. How did she know where he was? How had she survived all these years? Why did she come now after so long? But he could not speak. The bond between them, faint but present, tugged at his mind. He felt her thoughts brushing against his own, memories of starlight, strange cities, and endless skies. "I remember," he whispered. "That night, on your ship. I thought it was a dream." "It was real," she said gently. "And you were real. You still are." The room was quiet except for the faint hum of the night outside. Somewhere above, he could sense her fleet moving silently among the stars. He felt the weight of the universe pressing down, and yet he also felt a strange comfort. He was not alone. He had never truly been alone. "Why me?" he asked, voice trembling. Why not some human scientist or a soldier? Why need me specifically? Lyria's eyes softened. Because no one else has what you have. My people are brilliant, yes, but their minds are rigid. They follow rules. They do not take risks that feel foolish, even when those risks could save thousands of worlds. Humans, you think differently. You feel deeply, you act unpredictably, and you create ideas that we cannot. When I first met you, even as a child, I saw that. It changed me. I became stronger because of you. Now we need that strength again. He shook his head slowly. I don't know if I can do it. I have a job, a life here. I can't just leave everything. Lyria rose and walked closer to him. Her presence filled the room, calm and commanding. Your life is important, but what we face cannot wait. The null tide moves faster than our counsels. If we delay even a single day, countless stars will fall. You do not have to fight alone. I will be with you. We will face it together, and you will not lose yourself. You will only find what you are capable of. Dylan swallowed hard, the calmness in her voice, the certainty. It reached into him in a way no human ever had. He thought of the field when he was 15, of the glowing ship, of her gentle eyes. He thought of all the years he had spent feeling small and invisible. And he realized something. If he did not go with her, if he stayed behind, he might always wonder what could have been. Okay, he said finally. I'll go, but on one condition. What is it? Lyria asked. We protect Earth, he said firmly. We don't let anyone treat humans like they are just another experiment. If we go, Earth stays safe. My people stay safe. Lyria smiled, a bright, almost tearful smile. I promise. Your home, your world, it will be protected. Humans will not be treated as lesser beings. They will be partners, equals, friends. He felt a sudden weight lift from his chest. The fear, the doubt, the years of quiet uncertainty. They seemed lighter now. For the first time in his life, he felt like he belonged somewhere that mattered. She extended her hand. It glowed faintly, warm and inviting. Then we will leave tonight, she said. There is much to prepare, and the stars will not wait. Dylan hesitated only for a moment, then took her hand. The warmth of her touch spread through him, filling him with a strange strength and courage. It was as if the universe itself was encouraging him. Outside, the hum in the night sky grew stronger. The dogs had stopped barking, as if they sensed something beyond their understanding. Clouds parted slightly, revealing a faint silhouette above the town, a smooth, flowing shape that reflected starlight. Dylan's breath caught. The shape pulsed with energy, alive and powerful, yet silent. That's your ship? He asked, voice barely audible. Lyria nodded. It waits for us. It will take us far beyond this world, to the heart of my empire, where the true threat rises. You will see wonders beyond imagination and dangers beyond belief. But we will face them together. He looked back at his small living room one last time. The couch, the books, the simple walls, they were his world, his memories. But now they felt like a starting point, not the end. He stepped forward, following Lyria toward the door. As they reached the porch, the air outside shimmered. The shape of the ship became clearer, a sleek, organic design that seemed alive, curving and twisting gently in the night. Lights pulsed along its hull, matching the rhythm of the low hum. The wind carried a faint scent, like ozone and flowers, like nothing he had ever smelled on Earth. Lyria looked at him, eyes serious now. Are you ready, Dylan? He nodded. I am. Let's go. She smiled, and together they stepped toward the ship. As they neared it, Dylan could feel the faint pull of the bond between them, stronger than ever. Memories of his teenage years, of starlight and alien halls, of her gentle guidance, all flowed through him. It was familiar and new at the same time, like returning home to a place he never knew existed. The ship's surface rippled softly under their feet. It opened a path for them, glowing faintly as it reacted to Lyria's presence. The air seemed to hum in harmony with the energy of the vessel. He took a deep breath and stepped inside, following her into a world he had only dreamed of years ago. Inside, the ship was alive. Walls moved gently. Shifting patterns of light and color danced along the corridors. The floor felt soft, almost organic, as if it responded to their steps. Dylan marveled at the beauty, but also at the calm power that seemed to flow from every surface. "Welcome back," Lyria said, her voice echoing softly in the corridors. "This is home, in a sense, but also a bridge, a place between worlds, between thoughts, between possibilities." Dylan looked around, feeling a mixture of awe and fear. "I never imagined anything like this. And that is why you are here," she said. "Your mind, your humanity, your unpredictability, it is what the galaxy needs. The Vailari have plans, but they are limited by logic. You will help us see differently. You will help us fight differently. And most of all, you will help me." He nodded, unsure of what exactly she meant. But for the first time in his life, he felt like he mattered. Like the small human from a quiet town was now part of something enormous, something that reached across stars and time. And as the ship slowly lifted from the ground, leaving his home and the quiet town behind, Dylan held Lyria's hand tightly. He felt her strength, her hope, her trust, and he knew that no matter what was ahead, he would not face it alone. The stars waited for them. The universe stretched out before them, full of wonders, dangers, and possibilities. And Dylan, the human who once only dreamed of the stars, was finally ready to step into the vastness. The hum of the ship grew louder, vibrating through the corridors and into his chest. The world below shrank, the town lights disappearing, leaving only the darkness and the stars. And in that darkness, Dylan felt something he had never felt before, a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, and the knowledge that his life, his small human life, was about to change forever. Lyria turned to him, her eyes shining. "Hold on," she said softly. "We are going home, but not just to my world, to all of them, together." Dylan nodded, and for the first time, he smiled without fear. The adventure had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. Dylan sat quietly in the ship, staring out at the stars. They stretched endlessly, small points of light that seemed so close and yet so far. The hum of the ship beneath his feet was steady, comforting, almost alive. Lyria walked beside him, her hand brushing his now and then, gentle, familiar. "How long until we reach your world?" Dylan asked, his voice low. "Not long," she said. "But this is only the beginning. You will see many things, some beautiful, some dangerous. My empire is vast. The decisions we make there will affect thousands of worlds." Dylan swallowed. "I don't know if I can do that. I'm just me. I fix radios. I don't command fleets or fight wars." Lyria looked at him, her eyes calm and firm. "You do not need to fight like a soldier. You need to think like a human. Your mind, your perspective, it is the most powerful weapon we have. The Vailari are strong, yes, but we are limited. Humans are unpredictable. We need that." The corridors of the ship were smooth and soft, shifting gently as they moved. Lights traced patterns along the walls, moving slowly, like water. Dylan felt strange at first, as if walking on something alive. It pulsed lightly with each step, reacting to his weight and presence. "What is this ship made of?" he asked. "It looks alive." "It is," Lyria said simply. "Vailari ships are grown, not built. They respond to thought and feeling. It is one of the oldest technologies of my people. It remembers, it protects. It carries its crew and sometimes more." Dylan nodded slowly, unsure how to respond. It was amazing, but also intimidating. His life on Earth, the small apartment, the repair shop. It all seemed so far away now. Yet, he felt a strange connection, as if he belonged here more than he ever had anywhere else. They entered a larger chamber. The walls shifted to reveal glowing panels, maps of stars, and moving lights that danced across the surfaces. He realized they were not just maps. They were living representations of fleets, planets, and movements in space. Lyria stopped and gestured at a cluster of moving lights. "Here," she said, "this is my home system. My capital world is there, orbiting the blue-white star. See the floating cities, the towers? Everything is alive, growing, changing. Valari design is organic but precise, beauty and function in one." Dylan leaned forward, amazed. "It's incredible." "It is," she said, smiling faintly. "And it is only one of many. But there is danger. The null tide moves across these systems. We fight, but it adapts faster than we do. Our traditional strategies are not enough." He frowned. "What is the null tide?" "Machines," she said, her voice quiet and hard. "They consume everything. Planets, stars, even data. They do not sleep. They do not feel. They cannot be reasoned with. They are perfect in their purpose, to destroy. We have fought them for centuries, but they evolve faster than our plans. Logic alone cannot defeat them." He nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of what they faced. "And I am supposed to help?" "Yes," she said, "because human thought is chaotic, unpredictable. You can see patterns we cannot. You can think outside the rules we follow. That is why I sought you. That is why I returned." They moved toward a docking bay. Outside, the fleets of Vylari ships waited. Sleek, elegant vessels curved like wings, glowing faintly with internal light. Dylan felt his chest tighten. The scale was overwhelming. Entire fleets waiting for orders, for strategy, for someone to guide them. "They are beautiful," he said quietly. "They are," Lyria agreed. "And loyal. My people follow me, but some are cautious. They do not yet understand why you are here. They will test you, question you. But your ideas, they will see the truth soon enough." As they docked with the central hub of the capital world, Dylan felt his stomach twist with nerves. The city floated below them, towers growing like coral from the surface of the planet. Bridges of light connected the structures. Vessels moved slowly through the air, obeying invisible paths. The sky was alive with colors he had no names for. "This is the capital," Lyria said. "We will meet the council soon. They are cautious, as all leaders are. But you will show them what we need." They moved into a grand chamber. The walls shifted to form seats and platforms, rising toward a high ceiling. The counselors, tall Vylari with smooth skin and glowing markings, turned to look at them. Dylan felt their eyes on him, cool and evaluating. "This is Dylan," Lyria said. "He is human. He is here to help. And he is my choice." One counselor stepped forward, voice sharp and careful. "Queen Lyria, why bring a human into our deliberations? It is unusual. Humans are impulsive, unpredictable. They may harm our efforts more than aid them." "That is why he is needed," Lyria said firmly. "The null tide adapts to our logic. It cannot anticipate unpredictability. Dylan sees differently. He will show us new strategies." The counselor's eyes narrowed. "A child could suggest chaos, not strategy. Are you certain this is wise?" Dylan swallowed. I can help. I may not know everything, but I can see patterns that you might miss. I notice things differently. I think differently." Lyria's eyes softened. "Trust him. Human thought is a weapon we have not used. Now, we must." They moved to a large table filled with holographic projections of planets and fleets. The council discussed their strategy against the null tide. Everything was slow, methodical, precise. Each move calculated, each risk measured. The humans in Dylan's memory would call it careful, but he saw something they did not. The null tide was clever. It adapted. The council's plan would delay it, but it could not stop it. He took a deep breath. "What if you confuse it?" he asked. "What if you give it false targets, send out signals that look important but are actually empty? You could trick it, force it into a trap." The counselors looked at him with surprise. One muttered, "Foolishness. Deception is dishonorable, wasteful." Lyria turned to him. "Listen, the null tide is not honorable. It will not respect rules. Human thought, it is chaotic, yes, but it works. Test it on a small scale. If it succeeds, we adapt it further." Dylan's pulse quickened. They actually listened. They let him speak. He suggested using small outposts to project false data, lure the null tide, and use controlled energy bursts to disrupt it. The plan was risky. If it failed, lives could be lost. But the council had no better ideas. After hours of debate, they agreed to test it. A small station was prepared, using human-inspired chaotic signals. Dylan watched as the plan was executed. His heart raced as the null tide approached, a dark cloud of machines consuming everything in its path. Then it happened. The signals worked. The swarm hit the decoy. Energy pulses spread through the machines. Data was captured. A portion of the swarm was destroyed. The council was silent, shocked. Lyria's eyes glowed softly. "See?" she said quietly. "Human thought is powerful." Dylan felt a mix of relief and disbelief. He had done something real, something important, not by strength, not by technology, but by thinking differently. The human mind had made a difference. One counselor, still skeptical, finally nodded. "Perhaps unpredictability is an asset." Another whispered, "We did not consider this approach." Lyria smiled at him softly, almost tenderly. "This is only the beginning. The null tide will adapt. We must stay ahead, and you, Dylan, will help us do that." Dylan nodded. He felt a mixture of pride and fear. He was still just a human. He was still from a small town. But now he saw the galaxy in a new way, and he understood that his choices, his thoughts, could change the fate of entire star systems. After the meeting, Lyria took him to a quiet balcony overlooking the floating city. Colors shimmered in the sky. Towers glowed softly. Vessels moved like living creatures through the air. "It is beautiful," Dylan said. "More than anything I could have imagined." "Yes," she said, "and dangerous. But that is the way of our lives. We face danger, but we also create beauty. Now you have a place here. A role. Your mind matters." Dylan looked at her. "It's a lot. I don't know if I can handle it." "You will," she said softly. "And you are not alone. I am here. We are bonded, remember? Your mind and mine, together. You will never face the null tide alone." He nodded, feeling the truth of her words in his chest. The bond they shared was stronger than he remembered. It pulsed lightly in his thoughts, a quiet connection that reassured him. He was no longer a small human from a small town. He was a human who mattered. He was a human who could change the fate of worlds. That night, as they looked out at the city and the fleets beyond, Dylan felt a strange calm. Fear lingered, yes, but it was tempered by purpose. For the first time in his life, he felt part of something larger, something that mattered. And Lyria, standing beside him, watching the lights shimmer across the sky, whispered, "Together, Dylan, we can face anything. The universe has waited a long time for this. And now, it begins." Dylan took a deep breath. He was ready to learn, ready to fight, ready to think, like no human had ever thought before. The stars stretched endlessly before him, full of possibilities, and he would face them with the queen who had never stopped searching for him. The adventure was just beginning. The human mind had returned to the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same again.